I didn't know that I needed help until I was about to die. I'm Matthew Hennigan, former Canadian Armed Forces veteran and paramedic. In 2017, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And that was just the start. 9 months after I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, I would lose my mother to suicide. And so I thought rock bottom was being diagnosed with PTSD and being told, hey, you probably can't return to work anymore. You probably can't be a paramedic anymore. Actively drinking even prior to my diagnosis. But then after my diagnosis, I started drinking more because, why not, right? Oh, man, life is terrible. Life sucks. I can't do the thing I love to do anymore. Thought that was rock bottom. And my mom passes away in a pretty traumatic fashion. So I thought that was rock bottom. And then one day I walk into my therapist's office, hungover to oblivion. And she calls me out for being an alcoholic. I mean, she didn't call me an alcoholic. She made me come to that realization on my own. And I left there going, oh man, holy crap. Another layer. Keep going down, keep going down. And then I had to come to the realization that, I have two choices now. I have two avenues with which to go. Avenue number one is the one I've been traveling down this entire time. And after 17 years on the ambulance, I kind of had an idea where that road led to. I'd seen it. I'd experienced it in many different ways, whether it was friends who were suffering with alcohol. There was a guy I used to pick up all the time. He was a retired police officer. He retired from the force after 36 years. Big guy, 6'4", just a burly unit of a man. We used to get a call almost once a month, but our call station almost every day. Because what he would do after he retired, he was doing fine while he worked, fine-ish, functioning. But after he retired and the sirens went away and the calls went away, all he had was all that stuff in his head, all the things he'd been through, all the experiences that he had. And so he started drinking heavily. And he would drink to the point where he would pass out and his wife couldn't lift him up. She just wasn't strong enough to lift him up and get him into a chair or get him into bed. So she would call an ambulance and we would show up to try and do a lift assist. And all he wanted to do was talk about calls. All he wanted to do was listen to our radio. He wanted to listen to the chatter. He wanted to be a part of that world that he had been a part of for so long. He didn't know how to come back home. And he drank himself to death. And it was horrifically sad responding to that call that morning when it was no longer just a lift assist. It was him in a chair, dead. It was really sad. It was sad because the wife, who obviously was heartbroken, but had resigned herself to this being inevitable. And fast forward to my diagnosis and my drinking, I sat in a bar one night and this call just came back to me. I started thinking about it. And I was like, man, I'm kind of doing similar things. I mean, I don't pass out and have people, come pick me up yet. But if I had kept going down that avenue, if I'd kept going down the road that I had known, it probably would have got to that point, or it probably would have got to a point where I just simply didn't wake up one morning. That's the nefarious usage of alcohol, is that it's a legal substance and it's societally accepted, and people abuse it so prolifically, and they just kind of go, oh, that guy's a bit of a drinker. Yeah, he likes his booze. Yeah, like we do so many softening descriptors of alcohol abuse. And alcohol really is one of those things that our body doesn't really make anything natural when it comes to alcohol. A lot of things have alcohol in it. Bananas have alcohol in it, all fruits and stuff. So I'm not saying alcohol is inherently bad, but the alcohol that we buy in stores and the drinks, it can become pretty nefarious pretty quickly. And for me, that's exactly what happened. It started off very, very innocuous, very, very innocent, very, very, very kind of, I guess, societally normal, right? I would go out for drinks with friends. I would drink when I was sad. I would drink when I was happy. I would drink at celebrations. I would drink at wakes. I would drink when I accomplished something or when I failed something. And it was just kind of always a constant. And for me, alcohol started very, very early in my life because my mother was an addict, not an alcoholic, but a prescription pill addict. And she also had some very lax rules about, what it was to raise children. So I was drinking probably by the age of 12. And I know even earlier, like back when I was like living in England, because that's where I was born, left England when I was 6. I remember a Christmas in England, and I remember being allowed to drink wine. So I would have been like 5 or 6 at the time, and I remember having some wine. And so for me, alcohol and the connection to it started off really, really early in life. And then I joined the military, and the military does have a bit of an alcohol culture, whether we admit to that or not, or whether we want to say that or not. And it's not to say that alcohol is the culture. There just is a culture that exists within the military of alcohol. So not every serving member abuses alcohol, uses alcohol, etc. It's there. There is a call to it. Not everyone goes to it. It's a subculture within the military. Same thing with first response. And the ironic part about first response is we deal with so much negative side effect of alcohol, like whether it's DUI crashes, case in point, the retired police officer who drank himself to death. I had a buddy who I served in the military with, Ron Doe, who succumbed to alcohol and addiction as well. And so I had a lot of tangible offerings of where that road led. And I sat with myself one day thinking about this police officer and this call that I'd been to. And I had to make a choice as to which way I was going to go. I was either going to keep going down that path all the way to the end, play that record right through the end, knowing exactly what song was last on the list. Or I shift focus, I turn a little bit, and I take a leap of faith. See where the other road goes. And so I remember one day I texted my best friend, Drew. I texted him and I said, man, I think I'm an alcoholic. And his response, kind and sincere and generous, but basically was, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, that's essentially what was revealed to me. He's not surprised that I'm an alcoholic. And a few days later, I had a therapy session again, and I went in and we started talking about rehab and going into rehab for trauma and addictions and things like that. And I was really reluctant. Because part of what getting help means, like we all say this guy needs help, or homeless people need help. They need help. Help is such a broad term. It's such a broad term. It has so many different meanings. And it also just kind of gets used as a blanket statement, as though now you've done something. You've said something good. Now you've done something. Help is one of those things that, and I say this all the time from an addict's perspective, I have met plenty of addicts that want help. I have only met a few addicts that were ready for it. What I mean by that is when I made the decision to go into rehab, it had come at the end of a long list of failures. I got a DUI and a criminal conviction because of that DUI. I had lost my ability to work and drive. I had lost my ability to function normally without alcohol because I'd get some shakes and stuff. So I lost my ability to function that way. And I had finally made the decision that I was going to go into rehab, but that came at a cost, right? Because you have to give up a certain sense of self-control. You have to give yourself over to the system, over to the program. It's a scary thing to do as an adult, especially when you've been living on your own for a while and you've been self-sufficient in a way. It's a hard thing to do, to relinquish control. Because you've been spiraling out of control for so long that giving up more control feels like you're going to lose everything. But the reality is, you stand to gain everything. So I didn't realize it for many years until after I'd gotten out of rehab and I was sober for a bit. Sobriety didn't just save my life. It gave me one. I had the ability now to engage with my therapist. To start going through the catalog of things that were in my mind that were causing me all the distress and all the things that I was going through. And I had the ability to finally start sifting through that. And that's exactly what I did. I went through and I finally came to the realization that I wasn't okay. The day I finally realized I wasn't okay was the day I started to learn how to become okay. It took a long time to get there, and it took a lot of destruction, a lot of failed relationships, and a lot of hurt relationships, and hurt people, and hurt me. A lot of loss. But eventually I got there. And I got to a place where, when I look back now, I can't tell you definitively when I first realized something was wrong. Because when I was working, I was having nightmares. So was my partner. And so was, I'm going to use fake names, so was Jim. Right? So was Amber, Amelia, Steven. Almost every paramedic I knew was having issues, nightmares. Nightmares were, it was kind of just yeah, of course I do. Of course I have bad dreams. We go to bad shit. We go to horrific shit. We're going to have bad dreams. I came home from work with brain on my boot and skull fragment in my treading. That's fucked up. It's fucked up. That's the world we live in. That's the world we exist in as first responders. You know, you might go somewhere for a call and declare a kid dead. Whether it's by abuse, neglect, or whether it's just SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And 45 minutes later, your shift ends and you come home. And you're expected to function within the family unit. You're expected to be around your kids and play with your kids and give energy to your kids and be with your spouse and give energy to your spouse. And you basically start to compartmentalize. You don't say anything. You just swallow it. Because if they're not part of the industry, if they're not part of that world, how do they a lot of times they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the horrors that you've seen. So you swallow it. The city becomes a very different place for you than it does your family. You know, those big, summer celebrations and fall fairs and everything, they're much less exciting to you because that's where chaos happens. Mass gatherings are where bad things happen. That's where people do stupid things. There's a beer gardens. That's where stupid shit's about to occur. Somebody's going to pass out. Somebody's going to need an ambulance. Somebody's going to get in a fight. Somebody's going to get stabbed. Somebody's going to get in a car to drive. The world becomes a very different place. So you don't necessarily realize there's a problem right away. And you start to categorize the world that way and start to think that way and start to, use the alcohol to kind of take the edge off so that you can go to these places, so that you can function within your family. Take a nip before you walk into the house, right? Little hit off the flask. I had a flask, carried a flask with me. But I don't know if I can give you a definitive the day I realized something was wrong. What I can give you is the day that I realized I had to change. And that was when I was sitting in my therapist's office and I had revealed that I was an alcoholic. That was the day I realized I had to change. But I wasn't ready to change yet, so I kept drinking. And I kept trying to rationalize. And I kept trying to think, hey, I'm a younger guy. I'm in my 30s and I'm living single in a big city like Toronto. Of course I'm drinking. Like, why wouldn't I be drinking? I'm out at the bars. I'm trying to have some social lubricant and all these little justifiers you put in your head. It wasn't until one morning when honestly I was sitting there looking around my empty, desolate apartment. My apartment had a TV on like kind of some boxes, literally on boxes. And then I had a bed that had no box spring, no bed frame. It was just a mattress. That was my apartment. That was my furniture. That's all I had. That was it. I had a friend of mine who worked for Habitat for Humanity give me furniture. And I hated it. Not the furniture. I hated it because I'd responded to calls with people that were part of Habitat for Humanity that needed their help. And here I was now getting free furniture because some lady had taken such pity on me that she wanted to give me furniture. That's how I was living. Even then, I didn't realize that I had a problem. I just realized I was unhappy. So in my story, in my journey, I can't tell you when I had a problem, but I can tell you that when I decided that I needed help and I became ready for help, it meant relinquishing control and giving trust into a system, giving trust into an organization, giving trust into random people, which is really hard to do, especially after being a first responder for so long. Really hard to do. But you have to. You can want help until the cows come home. I wanted help. Just wasn't really sure what kind of help I wanted and what that looked like. And I also wanted to guide the direction of that help. That's not really how help works. You don't get to pick and choose. Beggars and choosers, as they say. I had to be ready for it. And that's the thing. When we see these people on the streets and stuff, they all probably want help. I don't think any of them want to live, especially when it's negative 30 or plus 30 outside. I don't think any of them really want to be there. Some do. Some really do. Some people actually do want that. They don't want the responsibilities of society. That's also something I think we need to acknowledge. But for the most part, the people that want help, majority just aren't ready for it. Because it means giving up that stuff, the stuff that you use to cope, the stuff that you use to help you forget, the stuff that helps you numb things out. Because when you become sober, you feel everything, man. Everything. Every pain, physical and emotional, it all comes and hits you, and you have to deal with it. You have to confront it. That is the only way forward. That is the only way I moved forward. That's how I ended up making this channel. And it's had a few different kind of identities because, my head's all over the place. I fall into the politics trap, and I was going to be a politics channel for a bit. And then I realized after doing a bunch of political content, it really weighs on you. It really kind of robs your soul. It doesn't make you feel good. And then I realized that I have a story to tell, and I have a story to put out into the world. And that's what I want to put out into the world, because I know there's a bunch of me's running around out there at different stages of their own stories. I'm not special or unique in what I went through. It's just the stuff I went through is uniquely mine. That's all. That's it. So, yeah, when did I first realize something was wrong? I didn't. I just realized that I needed to change. I needed help. And I had to get ready for it. I had to be in a place to be ready for it. But I can tell you this now. Here I am, 43 years old, living in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. A wife, 2 kids, wonderful friends and family around me. Steven, Drew, Cozy, so many other people that gets me a little emotional thinking about it, actually. My life is beautiful. It is not without challenge. I'm not cured. I still have issues. I still have flashbacks. I still have nightmares. Had an incident in the car. I was on vacation recently and had an incident where I'd gone out to the car because everything was just too busy. A lot of noise was too, and I was like, I gotta go to the car. So I let my family continue doing their shopping at the gift shop and the museum and stuff. And I went out to the car and I fell asleep from exhaustion. And I guess I started to have something. Sheena recognized that I wasn't having a good dream per se. And I guess she woke me up, and I was saying things and responding to things that just weren't actually happening in the present moment. Kids were in the back seat. They observed all this. These things still happen. These things, the things that hurt me in life, the things that led to me wanting to drink they still happen. But the difference is, instead of wanting to go to the bottle right away, I turn to my family. And I look at how beautiful they are, and I look at how beautiful this life is. And this life is only possible because I am sober. If I was focused on numbing all the things that hurt me, then I'm also numbing all the things that make me happy too. You can't siphon. Doesn't work that way. And yeah, days are hard. There are days where I'm fatigued and I sometimes don't know how I'm going to move forward. But the thing is, every day I move forward. Every day, whether it's incremental or huge, I move forward. I mean, I went to Greece last year, which means I got on many planes in international airports and arrived in Greece and spent some time in Athens, which is a very busy city, very condensed city, very busy. Wonderful city, beautiful. It's one of my favorite places on earth. Wouldn't have been able to do that probably about 5 years ago. There's no way. I would have sent my family on their, I would never been able to do it. I was supposed to go to Chicago with my best friend, Drew. We were supposed to go and have a road trip. And I canceled last minute because I just wasn't in a place to be able to go do it. This was a number of years ago. I think I could do it now. I think if Drew and I planned a trip to go somewhere, I think I could go. I think I could go and I could make a thing of it. Whether it's incremental or huge, every day is growth. Even when I have a flashback, even when I have a nightmare, even when I have a rumination and I get stuck for a number of hours and I kind of come to and I realize, holy shit, it's been 2 hours of me just sitting here thinking about, oh my God. You don't have to be cured to live a good life. You don't have to be cured to live a great life. I have a wonderful, wonderful existence. And I couldn't be happier with it. So if you're anything like me in your journey, if you're anything like me, if you're asking yourself, when do I realize something is really wrong? You might not. You might not until years later. But if you can recognize that you're asking that question, maybe it's time to ask yourself, do I need to make a change? Sometimes that question helps us answer the other one. It did me. I got to tell you, life is grand, folks. It's a beautiful thing, and I wish that for you too. Take care. Be safe out there.
But my grass is green from what I can see.